when I was looking at training elephants, the first thing I wanted to look at was actually we train elephants already. People already train elephants for things. So I was looking at what we do and the interesting stuff. And so, of course, I ended up looking at the Ringling Circus and, all their elephant acts, which they no longer do because the way they trained elephants was cruel and inhuman and very sad. But we can do it in a fun, hypothetical way that doesn't make the elephant sad. And so the most interesting thing that I found for their act was in the early 1900s. Barnum Bailey's, who run the Ringling Circus, their chief elephant trainer, decided to teach his chargers how to play ball. I was kind of just copy and pasted that off the internet. Teaches his chargers, I guess is what you call your elephants.
Teaches his charges.
I don't know. Is a group of elephants called a charge, or that's just their fun language? Anyway, but he wanted to teach them how to play baseball. He taught an elephant named Pilot to swing a bat, and another named Bessie to use a mitt. And after 2 years of effort, he taught another elephant, Coco, to pitch. And in 1912, they played their very first game. And the act was so popular that they actually ended up creating their own full elephant baseball team with 9 players. And it says other circuses later followed suit. I couldn't find a lot of information because this was the early 1900s. So I don't know if they had inter-circus elephant baseball games, but I don't think so. I think they would just have their elephants do different things. One of the fun facts was actually they also, in addition to, actually being able to play with the bat and the ball, they would teach the elephants to slide into first base, which is just hilarious to me. So the thing is, since we're perfectly trained, these elephants, we can get a little further than spending 2 years teaching one elephant how to pitch. We can get them a little bit more skilled. And so I kind of wanted to look at how good elephants would be at baseball. So the first thing is, how hard can they throw it? How hard can they hit it? So an elephant trunk can lift 700 pounds. Or as one source I saw said, 700,000 pounds.
Big difference.
Which is why you double checked your facts on the internet.
I like the idea that if that were true, an elephant would be able to just put his trunk on the ground and do 7 flips in the air before landing or something to pushed off.
I did look up other things. I tried to look up what 700,000 pounds was just to put it in context. And so a couple of points on that was it's the weight of 2 single-story homes or the weight of 3 blue whales. So just imagine 3 blue whales stacked on top of each other. An elephant just comes by and just whoop! All right. But it actually is 700 pounds. And thanks to the wonderful website, The Measure of Things, I can tell you that's, just to put it in context, is about 1 2/5 times as heavy as a cubic meter of snow. So now you have a great idea of what 700 pounds is like. As far as running the bases, an elephant can run up to 25 miles an hour. Though interestingly, there's a debate about whether elephants can run or not.
Wait, how?
I am trying to imagine an elephant running, and it does look weird in my head.
I've seen elephants run.
I guess it's like a trot, I guess.
So elephants can definitely speed up and have a max speed. 25 miles an hour is pretty fast.
Yeah.
The thing is, their quote-unquote running motion isn't different than their walking motion. And their feet, their feet never all leave the ground like, basically every other mammal when it's running. And basically the only criteria you have to fill to have it count as running is that your gait is different than your walking, and it isn't. So theoretically, elephants only speed walk at 25 miles an hour. And so they can, they would be strong. They can run fairly fast. Actually, not ridiculously fast. I mean, Usain Bolt is, his top speed was 23, which is the fastest human. But it's kind of on similar orders of magnitude compared to what the stuff we usually look at. And then could, they throw the ball kind of, accurately enough to hit it. So I couldn't find any videos of the Ringling Circus because it was in 1912. But I did find a video from a minor league baseball team that brought an elephant out to throw the first pitch. And after one absolutely wild pitch that went 8 feet over his head, the elephant threw basically a perfect strike. So that puts him on par with major league pitchers, I think.
Yeah.
So this is the part where I usually start to scale things up. But finding out how fast an elephant can throw a ball is actually incredibly complicated. We've talked about throwing speeds before on the show, and it involves a lot of... It's not just strength based. It's dexterity and arm composition.
The arc
based. Yeah, arc based with angular momentum and different things limiting the speed of the ball is limited by different factors than strength. I also couldn't find, even if I found out how fast I could throw the ball, I couldn't find good reaction times for elephants, because assuming the ball would be faster, because their trunk is much more flexible than an arm and much stronger, so it would be able to throw the ball faster. I would doubt the elephant would be able to hit the ball. And if they could hit the ball, I couldn't really figure out how hard they'd be able to hit it, because again, I would have the same angular momentum problems.
You had a video of it though, and you could have like timed how long it took to get from the pitcher's mound to home plate.
You could.
Well, it was a pretty casual toss from that elephant.
Oh, okay.
Like, if you're gonna train these elephants perfectly, you're gonna teach that elephant how to, like, you know, throw like a I don't know, a 2-seam fastball, or like a 1-nostril fastball, I guess. I guess the seams were on the ball, so you could still call it a 2-seam fastball. But anyway, basically, I realized as I was tackling these problems, I realized I was looking at the wrong sport anyway. Because while I was scouring the web for basically any video of an elephant playing baseball, I had also found a video by René Cassely in Hungary, where he taught his elephants several basketball tricks. And so his video was much more helpful. So he's got he has a scene where the elephant just kind of like goes over, dunks the basketball, scores a basket. The one that was the most encouraging, I think, was that, it was a video, he was going to take a shot, and the elephant just like puts its foot up and blocks him and just shuts him down with his foot. And then the last one was the elephant tossed a layup, and the second elephant launched him into the air for him to slam dunk it. So I'm like, that's awesome. So definitely elephants have enough skills to play basketball. Like, they have the dexterity, they can throw the ball, they can understand to get it in the hoop. And there's really only one thing that hinders an elephant from exploring the most exciting moments in baseball. And that's the fact that elephants can't jump. This is actually a true fact, because, it's like one of those animal facts, right? You hear it all the time, and I'm like, I'm not sure if that's actually true or not, or if they just don't very often jump, and it just sticks in people's mind because they're heavy. But no, elephants physically cannot jump. The most common answer is that they're just not strong, their legs just aren't strong enough to lift their mass. I'm a little suspicious of this one. It's like, half the reason that no one's seen an elephant jump is because they don't need to, and they would never bother to. Because elephants can go back up on their hind legs and balance. So I feel like you're not too far away from, like, at least jumping a tiny bit from there, like, strength-wise.
I like the idea that all the elephants are like, oh no, we totally can jump. We just don't want you to see us. Like, we can jump really high, guys. Like,
but, like,
really
why would an
high.
elephant ever need to jump?
No, I know. They wouldn't.
And so this problem can easily be rectified with the generous application of trampolines or some equally wacky method. But there is actually another problem with why they don't jump, and it's that their feet aren't built for it. So actually, all the bones in an elephant's leg point downward, which sounds like it makes sense. Like, that's how you imagine legs are. Like, our leg bones point downwards. But the thing is, it's actually the foot is where it really differs from us. So the way an elephant's foot is built, imagine, like, put your hand out, like, extend your fingers, and now have your fingertips touch without, like, curling them up. And then basically put that down on the table. That's basically what an elephant's foot bone looks like. All the fingers, their toes, all the toes pointed straight down.
So it's like landing a jump from, like, on a tippy-toe stance.
Yeah, so the problem is their bone structure is too narrow, and if you put too much pressure on there, it's gonna, like, in my head, it just pierces through, and it's very bad. Let's just say the force of landing would be unkind to the elephant. So there's two options we have here. I think both of which create equally awesome and different sports. First thing is to not abandon the trampolines and simply fix the foot problem. So if you can give the elephant shock-absorbing shoes that absorb the impact so it's not damaging to its feet, then they might be able to jump safely. Effectively, just create them an industrial pair of Air Jordans. And then I think they could just, it'd be pretty good too, because if they have, if they need more air, they can just use their trunks to inflate it. So you just then add elephants in a trampoline floor, and you're good to go. You can have bouncy elephant basketball. The second thing is just to forget about the jumping and bring people back to do the jumping for them. So I mentioned before that an elephant's trunk can lift 700 pounds. This is more than enough to lift a person. So the sport then becomes a series of players balancing on elephant trunks and playing basketball effectively, like, higher, like at a mid-air level, playing basketball. And then you make the hoops, of course, like now the hoops are going to be like 30 feet up as opposed to like, I don't know how high they are regulation wise, but less than 30. Of course, this is incredibly dangerous for all the people.
I was going to say.
So what you're going to do now is now you make it a pool sport so that the basketball players can do all the cool tricks and flips and jumps and all the awesome things that they want to do. They're going to need some water to safely land in. So then the question is, how much water do you need for, and so I used the diving, the regulation diving depths if you're diving off a diving board. And so for a 15-foot diving board, which is the closest size regulation I have to how tall an elephant with plus its trunk would be, the water needs to be 12.5 feet deep. So conveniently, elephants are somewhere between 8'3" and 13 feet tall. So if you have elephants in the water, the tallest elephants would be tall enough to play this sport. So it does size out shorter elephants, but basketball also sizes out short people, so I think that's fair. And then, yeah, you just have a pool with, like, elephants with, like, mostly submerged, but they can rear out of the water if they want to. I think the elephants would be allowed to shoot, but then the most of it is just going to be them, like, tossing people and tossing basketballs around and trying to score on, like, this basket that's just, like, way above the pool, and I think it would be fracking awesome.
Even with the pool, I think it would be a terrifying sport to play for the humans.
Oh yeah, no, it would be a little scary, but I think the fact that you get to play with elephants and in a pool, and it's just the sheer little awesome would attract enough players to get the game done. I mean, people play rugby, and that's just as dangerous and way less exciting because there's no elephants in it.
Just as dangerous as maybe underselling things a little bit.
That was a clip from Absurd Hypotheticals, the podcast where we answer dumb hypothetical questions. For the full episode, click on the link in the description.